the biggest thing that happened in the NFL and even for the Cowboys on the weekend was, well, two divisional rivals are going to be playing in the NFC Championship game. And I got to start off with the big fella. Like, you're the longest tenured Cowboys fan in the room. How does it feel knowing this weekend one of our most hated rivals is going to be going to the Super Bowl?
Well, I know I'm going to have a different take than everybody else. I was excited that Washington made it. Okay. And the reason why I was excited, because it put pressure on one team and one team only. That's the Dallas Cowboys. Because if the Commanders can go in, change their coach, have a good draft, they drafted a franchise quarterback, and it completely changed their organization. It's just like Magic Johnson said I'm sure you all seen a bunch of those clips, how he said, man, we hired the right people and we got out the way. And we let our coaches coach and our managers manage, and that was the result. I mean, for years, the Commanders were worse than us, man. They weren't even sniffing 6 or 7 wins, right? My son, the Commander fan, I told him, I said, bro, if you choose your team, you got to stick with them thick and thin. If you're losing, you're losing. If you're winning, you're winning. You can't jump ship. And he stuck in there and everything, and he finally seen the fruit of his cheering, you know. And I was excited just because it's putting pressure on the Cowboys. Everybody in the East is getting better, and what are we doing? We stay pat. Yeah. So, you know, we switch coaches and everything. Hopefully, we're going to get into that.
Yep.
But Washington basically was tired of losing, and they did something about it.
Definitely. Kuiper, I want to hear your opinion, because you're not even really, I don't know how far your hate goes for any teams or anything, but as far as the Commanders beating the Detroit Lions, I mean, no one had that. Unless you're a Commanders fan, no one believed that the Commanders were going to beat the Detroit Lions. So what were your thoughts on the NFC divisional round?
Well, first off, I absolutely hate Cliff Kingsbury. I am probably the biggest Cliff Kingsbury hater. I hate him with all my heart for destroying the Cardinals' 4 seasons with Kyler Murray. I think he's stunted his growth, but more than anything, I'm impressed. I'm impressed that a rookie quarterback has made it this far. You don't see that often. It's like that's really impressive for him to do, especially when you have first-year head coach. Well, for your team, everybody's a first owner, a first-year GM, a first-year head coach, first-year QB. That's really, really hard to do. So I'm impressed by them. But I thought if Detroit had chances to beat them, and the Commanders kept shutting the doors on them over and over. You see Jared Goff choking with those interceptions. Man, I was just impressed. But I really hate the Rams too, so I was praying for the Eagles to make it.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of the flip of the coin here, right? Like you have the Rams are a hated rival for you, so you don't mind the Eagles making it. You didn't want to see the Rams win another Super Bowl, which is kind of how we're sitting here right now with the Eagles and Commanders. AJ, what about you, my friend? Now that we've had a few days to sift through it, how are you feeling about seeing this NFC East rival showdown?
I mean, at least we can say we were in one of the hardest divisions, or the hardest division in the NFC now, I guess.
Right?
I don't know. It is it a coincidence? Is it ironic? Don't you think? That's a little Canadian
folklore
for you. But that both our DC and OC from last season are playing in this game. And I just can't live with the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl. So I have to kind of lean into Chris's son side there, and de facto I am cheering there for Washington to win. It also I'm gonna make an argument for myself to so I can, like, if I do jump up and cheer, I can at least be like, oh, that was one of Dan Quinn. That's one of our ex-boys, our ex-Cowboys.
We just need to throw money on the game. That's all we have to do.
Throw money on the game.
We have to throw money on the game so that we can just say the only reason we're cheering is because we fucking hate the Eagles, and we're going to get monetary value out of a win for the Commanders. Ad, what are your thoughts on the NFC rival matchup that we're going to be watching this weekend?
Commanders, Philly.
I mean, obviously, I'm cheering against the Eagles. period. I think the Commanders are on a really nice hot hand in the playoffs. I think they're coming in with a bit more momentum than the Eagles. Don't like that we have to cheer for the Commanders. But I agree completely with what I said. Throw some money down, have some skin in the game. I think we can't help but not get invested in the game regardless. And it's just, it's going to be a painful watch.
Well, getting invested in the game, we were watching that Bills-Ravens matchup like it was our favorite team, swearing at the TV and cheering like madman. Granted, we had been drinking for the majority of the day, so I think that could have also tied into it. But guys, we're going to see some nice football this weekend regardless of who's playing. You got the Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs, that's going to be a good matchup. And then, of course, you got the NFC rival matchup, which is going to be a fun game to watch. So I'm still excited, even though I hate to see it.
I got a question for Adam. Adam, why is it going to be a painful watch to see both of those NFC East teams, man? Out of the both of them, I'm really cheering for Washington because we all hate the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
I wish nothing but misery on them. I'm just excited, man, because the Commanders are doing something exciting. I wish we could do. I wish we had that presence where the Cowboys, hey, we want to get back in this fight. And it just seems like we don't have no fight right now. So I'm really excited to watch the game. But, all right, so it'll help you better if it was Seattle and the Rams.
Yeah, you are right. Any NFC, any NFC game is painful if we're not in it.
Hell no.
But obviously, it's just because it's in our division and it's two of our division guys. And I think the fact that it's all we're hearing, we get it as Cowboy fans anyways. You guys haven't won a Super Bowl. You haven't been to an NFC Championship. But now that Washington has done it with their rookie quarterback, with 10 of our players, like it hurts. It stings. And I'm not talking Jalen Hurts. I'm talking
hell no
DQ Hurts.
No.
I do want to bring up that point that you made there too, Chris, about the turnaround that happened in Washington and definitely happened coming together with getting the young quarterback that I guess you can say turned out to be the best one from the draft, really. Cowboys are in an interesting place because you could kind of say, you could make the argument, okay, well, they did draft had the second pick in each round last year. And that is true. But realistically, Cowboys at 12, we don't need that quarterback just de facto by the contract, whether or not you believe we should replace Dak Prescott or not. So I think like the 12th overall pick kind of sets us up in a position to make those same types of decisions in the draft. It's really going to come together, though, with what they do in free agency, and that's going to be dictated by who we have coaching the team. You'd hope. I mean, it could all be just Jerry's plan, but that's the ultimate hope there. So it's funny because I agree. Cowboys have all the opportunity here to make a big change. They have no coaches on the roster, essentially.
Except Jason Witten.
Except for Jason Witten. He's been sleeping. He did have a sleepover with Jerry Jones.
Unofficial.
Yeah, it's fucking official as far as I'm concerned. It's officially unofficial.
They hired him?
Well, I think he's just, if they bring in Schottenheimer or Kellen Moore, the stipulation's going to be that Jason Witten needs to be some positional.
Give him a fucking towel. Have him wipe the goddamn.
Just have him be on there. Before we get into the next topic, I just got to say this to Chris. Just real quick. You said, would it be better if it was the Seahawks versus the Rams? No, yeah. But it would have been better if it was Detroit versus the Rams over than what we're going to watch this weekend.
Why don't we get 21 Armando 21's take on this? Because, we just got a surprise run-in guest up in the show today.
Back in action now that TikTok is officially back. The TikTok star himself, 21 Armando 21. What's up, bro?
What is going on, fella?
Hey, 21, how much of your content had influenced TikTok being that ruling being reversed and being allowed to stay?
So, what do you mean, like my content?
Yeah, how much influence did your content have on that decision being reversed? in the U.S. I'm arguing quite a bit, but you know.
My boy Donnie, I think he's a big Cowboy fan, so
yeah.
You know,
Well, he has to be. He has to be after Double J gave him $200 million or something like that.
Exactly. Exactly.
We'll pay. What's his name?
There for a minute, but we're back on, and you know, here we are, man. Appreciate you guys having me, man. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So Armando, we're just talking about the upcoming NFC Championship game here, and just how you feel about it. What are your thoughts? I mean, you probably had a too long of a time to think about them, right? That's the problem.
I hope both teams lose. I mean, I know that can't happen, but it's tough, man. It's tough to watch these two teams that they're your rivals. But at the same time, you look at it as, I hope the Joneses are seeing this and they're embarrassed, you know, or there's some sort of, you know, like, you know, I don't know, something where Jerry's, you know, regretting, or because for us Cowboy fans, it's tough, especially the Eagles, right? Oh. Like, it's just tough, man, to see these two teams that you know one of them is going to go in the Super Bowl, and we have this big old drought just hanging over us, and you know, you're supposed to be America's team, and here we are, not even making the playoffs.
Playoffs.
I think all of us just kind of feel the same, except Chris, who's stoked for the game by the sounds of it.
Chris has a reason. The big fella got a reason, right? Simon's a big Commander fan, and
that's true.
Shout out to Jeremy, man. I met
that
him.
Is true.
Kicked him, you know, but you know, he has a reason, but it's just tough, man. Especially these fucking Eagles, man.
Yeah. So I guess like everyone has kind of said, if you had to pick a team that you're going to be cheering for when they score, whether that's because it's positive points for the Commanders or negative points for the Eagles, you're happy Washington scores. I think that's a consensus, but just want to make sure we're on the same page there, Armando. We're saying we're cheering against the Eagles, not for the Commanders.
Oh yeah, definitely cheering against the Eagles. Yeah, fuck them Eagles.